Hmm, a new flying hero. All right, I guess we ball. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? So obviously I've switched back to Spring Wardens here. I'm going to play, the Spring Wardens and the associated Eagle Flying Degeneracy this season. Honestly, I was kind of looking for an excuse to switch back to Spring Wardens anyway. But we got the news from the new hero, a new flying hero. I'm like, okay, it's time. And in particular, what I was really kind of happy to see is his skills tree are overall PvP and mobility. Now, overall is fine, but PvP and mobility are really the trees that help you move quickly. And so I think that's really important for flying cav. And so this guy should be able to handle the movement speed requirements of that march, probably by himself. The other thing I'll say about, these trees here is with the mobility tree, you tend to have a foundational talent that gives you an additional 5% movement speed on top of that. So, like, if I was going to design a new flying hero, this is basically what I wanted to see. It is a little bit before reset on 16 August. I don't have the new flying hero yet, so importantly, I don't see his skills. So I'm going to have to see them, to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'll show you what I have for just sort of my placeholder flying cav march here. It's these right here, but this is really sort of subject to change. Okay, now one of the things about flying cav is you only have a limited number of flying cav, right? Before Elio comes into the game, we have 8 flying heroes. So that's 4 full marches. And when we get the ninth hero, we'll still have 4 full marches, right? You could send out a half march, but I don't think that's worth it. So if I'm sending out full 4 marches with Elia, who's getting cut, it's almost certainly Bert. The reason is Bert's skills are pretty much useless when it comes to flying cav. The only reason you have them in my marches is just to, basically because you have to. He's the only flying hero. We also don't know what the pets are going to be. We're going to have to see what Elio does before I have any sort of idea on that. Okay, now I've got a few questions here. Let's go through them. The first question is, do you think Flying Cav will be good now? The answer to that is no. I don't think they'll be good. Even with the new Flying Hero, let's say he's on par with Saluna or maybe even a little bit better. You're still kind of, punching down when compared to normal Cav. Obviously, the first thing is you can only send out basically 4 full marches, whereas your ground Cav obviously sending out 5 full marches. They have 10 legendary heroes or maybe 9 legendary heroes in Marduk or something like that are all designed for Cav, whereas you really only have one hero that's designed for Cav, a G2 hero, and then you've got a few generic heroes that do some okay stuff, but really aren't, all in on the Cav hero. Now, Saluna is kind of encouraging in that she's really built to be strong when flying, and when she is flying, she is sort of on par with a legendary ground hero, sort of regardless of the flying march she's leading. So hopefully, Elio is sort of on her level when you have Elio awakened and everything like that. But like I said, even if that's true, I think you are weaker than ground cav. So that leads me to the second question: why am I going back to flying cav if I think it is sort of inferior to ground cav? Is it all for the memes? It's not all for the memes. It's partly for that, partly for content. It's probably just because I'm kind of getting a little bit bored with this game and the repetitiveness. The most fun I ever had in this game really is when I was, being a flying cap degenerate. I, stepped away from that, a number of seasons ago now. So, honestly, I'm just kind of looking to have fun again. Hopefully, with a return to flying cap can do that. All right, the third question here is how much, content am I going to get out of this? And the answer is I'm going to milk this for all it's worth, right? Obviously, when we get the new hero, I'm going to do a video on my setup for these guys once I figure out the best, sort of balance who pairs with who, etc. War pets is kind of an interesting question. We still don't have very many flying war pets. The only one that's really on plan is the Berserk Phaedrake for whatever March Ferrandel's leading. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with that. And of course, you've got Artifacts and stuff like that. And of course, I'll figure out, my flying gameplay. Try and put some videos in that, some sort of neat tricks you can do with that. Anyway, I'm excited to be back to Spring Wardens. Like I said, I don't think it's actually good, but it is fun for me, and I am looking forward to the season more than I was a couple days ago. Until next time, you stay classy, Belleron.
Thanks for your time.